Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Carousel Technology would like to welcome you to our ServiceNow Federal Tech Talk, Enhancing Federal Operations, Harnessing GenAI with ServiceNow's Now Assist. Joining us today with ServiceNow, we have Miguel Deneri, Outbound Product Manager. Miguel, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you're familiar with ServiceNow and have been to a couple of presentations, I have to cover this. It's a safe harbor forward-looking notice. I am going to show you some things that are coming in the future. So please don't make any purchasing decisions based on solely what I'm about to show you. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the future of GenAI and ServiceNow. So the first thing, before we begin, the first thing I really want to focus on is ServiceNow's approach to this is really around the user experience, not just with GenAI, but the platform as a whole. So with that said, this is going to be the future for the end user experience. And let's take a look. All right. The first thing I want to point out here is we're going to unify that search experience. Oops. We really want to unify that search experience. So we're going to go ahead and combine both the search and the chat capability or the virtual agent capability at the same time. So in this demo, you'll see that the user is having an issue with their MeetX video application. But not only do you have the ability to chat with the agent, it also has the ability to point out some knowledge articles as well as some other things that are associated with what he chatted in there. Now, it's not just a virtual agent bot, it's also a way for communication. So if you notice in the demo, it's explaining what's going on. So the virtual agent is asking for a picture. So now we can feed it pictures for it to better triangulate the issue. As you can see, it's laggy, it's not pixelated. So the virtual agent is quickly triaging the situation, and it realized that it might be a network connectivity. So in addition to just talking and chatting with the agent, we empowered the virtual agent with actionable items. And as you can see, it's going to go ahead and run a diagnostics on the network to ensure it's not a network connectivity issue. Okay. Came back, not a network issue. As it's happening, as you can see, it's also updating the knowledge articles and suggested items on the right-hand side. So while it's doing that, it also created an incident and it alerted an agent in the background what's going on. Now, in a second, we're going to take a look at that point of view. But for now, it's open an incident. In addition to the incident, it also has the power of the platform. So with that said, it has access to personalize the experience because it has access to the CMDB and anything associated to that user, to include this accessories, some laptops, and the software associated with it. So it has insight into what's going on. And because of the issue was a video issue, it realized that their video camera is outdated. So here it is, and associated with that, it's going to allow the user to update their video on the spot. So it's a proactive approach and not just a chat approach. There it is. So it went ahead and ordered it. Now, in the background, the ticket's still being worked on. During this conversation, the agent and the chat and the virtual agent and the agent figured out what's going on, and it went ahead and patched it for him. It realized it was a software issue. It was an old software. Because of the access to the CMDB, it went ahead and automatically patched it. So again, that actionable experience, the really user-friendly experience here. Now, let's take a look at this same incident from the agent's perspective. From an agent's point of view, it's got to sign a ticket. It's VIP, automatically. Let's go ahead and look at it. So the first thing you notice here, not only provides you with information needed, it also gives you a quick summarization of the incident. So on the right-hand panel, it shows summary of what's going on. In addition, it also provides information on how to quickly triage the situation. What we also introduced is something called analysis panel, which is, in a sense, is like a sidekick for the agent, giving it the ability to directly interact with our generative AI solution. It's letting the GenAI know that the knowledge article provided didn't help, and if it has any more suggestions. And because, again, it has access to the platform, it realized that there's some other incidents that also are similar, and their solution was the software was outdated. And again, this is a proactive approach. It's allowing the user to go ahead and trigger an action to automatically push that update to that user's laptop. But again, it's more than just a chat feature. We really wanted to be proactive again in an approach. Right. So in addition to identifying the issue, it also identified there's 15 other users that might have the similar issue because their software is outdated. So to prevent those incidents, it's allowing that agent to go ahead and push that patches to the rest of the 15 individuals with the issue. Right. Now, same in that proactive approach, it recognizes there's also a knowledge gap. So it's allowing the agent to create a knowledge article based on what just happened to prevent things like this happening and to populate the virtual chat that we saw earlier. So it went ahead, took the information and populated a knowledge article, a draft version. But not only that, we also have the ability to summarize things or shorten things using the power of GenAI. So in this incident, it seemed a little lengthy, so we shortened it down. And now we get to publish it. And there you have it. That's what the future looks like. And it's coming quick. Knock on wood, hopefully by the end of the year, we should see some of this in production. Now, great intro. My name is Miguel Deneri. I'm the outbound product manager at ServiceNow for a platform in GenAI. I've been at ServiceNow a little shy of 5 years. I'm about a month and a half short of 5 years. But I've been in the ecosystem for about 11 years. And my career started in the Fed space. So the Fed space is near and dear to my heart. I'm also a veteran. So, I really care about the Fed space, and I'm excited to share this with you and talk about GenAI today. All right, let's talk about GenAI. But before we begin, we need to understand the strategy and how we place it in the platform. And if you're familiar with ServiceNow, you understand how the platform works. We have our workflows that sit on top of the platform, things like HR, ITSM, and CSM. And what they do is they leverage either functionality or products or services from the platform. A good example of this is reporting. Everybody that ever uses ServiceNow has some kind of interaction with reporting. But reporting is the same throughout the platform, regardless if you're using ITSM or HR, that same experience is the same and that knowledge is the same. You don't have to relearn how to create a report. In addition to that, if you create an application using our creator workflow, you still have the ability to create that reporting system. So we took that strategy and we wanted to introduce generative AI at the platform level because of that. Now it does a couple of things. When we introduced generative AI on our platform, we also introduced another product called the Generative AI Controller. And for lack of a better word, it's really the control center for all things generative AI on the platform, to include adding those workflows, leverage that generative AI, and future things that are coming down the road. And by doing this, it also removes the complexity, right? Because we're allowing you to leverage different LLM models as well. And I'll get into that in a little bit, what that means. But we're removing that complexity, making it easier for you to integrate with these things and leverage the power of GenAI throughout the platform. And finally, another reason why we added it on the platform was because ServiceNow is really good at a lot of things. One of them is structured stuff, right? We have that one database model. We're really good at structured workflows and automating those workflows, but what we're not good at is at unstructured data. Examples of those are knowledge articles, right? We can't really dig into knowledge articles. We can't, pile into that data or search that data. Same can be said with virtual agent chats and ticket activities, whether it be a case or an incident. But with the power of GenAI, we finally unlocked that, and we're going to marry the two, right? Creating a massive productivity catalyst for our customers. Now, generative AI is a new tool on the block. Everybody's talking about generative AI, but our approach is different. When we introduce generative AI on the platform, we want to make sure it does three things, right? There's three pillars we're really targeting. The first one is it has to drive productivity for our customers, either drive it or enhance it. Second thing is the value. We know that value is important to our customers. We know that value has to be at utmost and has to be driven and has to accelerate. And lastly, and most importantly, is the experience, the user experience of the adoption rate. Without that, we can't achieve productivity and value. So we're really focusing on the experience. And if you notice in the beginning demo and the videos, we really focus on that activity. And this is why. Now, on experience, the way ServiceNow took an approach is by personas. We need to accelerate everything people do to accomplish what they do on our platform. So with that, we took a lens on the personas. We know that the developer's persona in dealing with generative AI and his work or their work is going to be different than the employee. And same can be said with the admin versus the agent and the customer. So we're really focused on the employee. And in a little bit in the demo, I'm going to show you some of these interactions by these different personas. Now, if you're familiar with ServiceNow, you've been here a while, you know that we love branding our stuff. Everything is branded, it has a name. Generative AI on ServiceNow is no different. And we're calling it the Now Assist. So it's going to be Now Assist for HR or Now Assist for ITSM. The Now Assist is the brand. But it does another thing for us as well. AI responsibility or generative AI responsible is a word that's been tossed around lately. So ServiceNow has decided to leverage this branding to identify anything on the platform that leverages generative AI by either labeling it with the Now Assist name or Now Assist logo. And that's going to have that human intervention, and it's going to prevent certain things from either being published or produced by allowing you to either delete it, modify, or keep as is. So keep that in mind. When we see the demo, you'll see the markings, and I point them out to you. Now, let's go ahead and look at the demo. All right, let me switch screens real quick. All right, so the first persona I'm going to take you to is through a user experience. And oops. The user experience. So the way an end user or customer interacts with ServiceNow is through the Now Assist for virtual agent on any portal. And it's more of a, in this instance, I'm going to go through a question and answer how to order something because it's something I did. Now, as anybody else, I am glued to my phone. I like my phone a lot, and sometimes I spend a lot of time, more than I should. Unfortunately, this morning, I had a case of Butterfingers, and I broke my phone. So I'm going to go to virtual agent and see what I can do. All right, and it recognizes my mistake, and it gives me an ability to request a new phone. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to give it a justification. I dropped it and broke it. Now it's giving me options for storage. I like taking pictures, so I'm going to give it the natural language approach, right? I'm just going to give it a number and say, I want a 256 gigabyte. And it understood my intent. All right, I'm going to go green. Again, understood my intent. Capturing the data, it's going to populate the record for me at the end. I want it delivered here. Okay. You know what? I really like taking pictures. So I'm going to make a change. I need more storage. Now, based on that, it automatically knew the next level up of storage was 512 gigabytes. It didn't need me to tell it. Again, that in the natural language type interaction that we're looking for. And I'm all set now. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Unfortunately, I have no pictures of my phone because I use my phone to take pictures. And there it is. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So it requested my item and it's giving me an ability to check it, and it kicked off the rhythm. Now, just look what else virtual agent can do for an employee. I have been traveling lately, and unfortunately, I don't really know the hotel policy. So I asked my manager for the policy, and he just sent me knowledge article. And it happens a lot, right? So sometimes the knowledge articles are really beefy and it's hard to find the information. So let's see if virtual agent can help me out. And there it is. It provided me the snippet of the huge knowledge article where all the information is at, saving me time, right? Now I don't have to bug my manager anymore. And to make sure that we are getting the right information, it's providing me the source where it came from. And again, remember earlier I talked about the branding. There it is, identification of it's powered by Not Assist. Now let's take a look at the article to ensure it came from the right spot. As you can see, within this article is a hotel policy. Now let's go ahead and take a look at an agent's point of view of this. Earlier, we saw the agent's interaction. So today I got assigned a ticket. And if anybody works a ticket or has worked a ticket, they know how complex it can get, especially here in the activity section. Because not only you have to read the back and forth between other agents and the customer, you also have to track in your head what solutions worked and what didn't and where they're at. The last time I did this, it took me about an hour just to figure out where they're at before I can even engage in the ticket. Now, what we have introduced here is called instant summary. And what this does is it goes through that, combs through that, and provides a meaningful summarization of what's going on for me to take action. And there it is. It's letting me know the issue and the key actions taken. Okay. Now, a second pain point in working tickets is the resolution notes. And I can also share this. So here we go. Here's that section where I talked about the human intervention, where I can edit this to make sure it's justifiable, and then I can save it to work notes. So there's not really a point where generative AI can just publish things for you. Okay. Now, second pain point is resolution notes. It's painstaking to go through it again, find resolution notes. So what we did was we decided to go ahead and pre-publish those for you, create a draft when you hit the resolution. And there it is. Provided resolution notes, looks good to me. I still have the power to edit if need to. It's letting me know it's provided by Now Assist. And I'm going to go ahead and solution provided, resolve the issue. And there it is. Something that would take a couple of hours to figure out, to populate or to read and understand took a couple of seconds. Now, earlier in the video, we showed the Now Assist, or the sidekick, I called it. And here it is. Here it is. This is the Now Assist panel today. And it does more than just chats back and forth. It can also be actionable. I know there's a knowledge gap because the ticket said there was no knowledge article. So I'm going to go ahead and request that it generates a knowledge article for me. There it is. It created a draft article based on the information in the ticket. And now I have the ability to open that ticket or open that knowledge article and again, edit the draft as needed before it gets published. That's the power. That's where we're driving, right? Efficiency, the user experience, right? And as you saw, what the future looks like. And that's where we're at today. Last but not least, let's go ahead and take the view of a developer. What we have today is something called text to code. And what it does is take simple text commands or requests, and it makes them into code using ServiceNow's Now LLM. And I'm going to mention what that means later on. In this instance, I need to retrieve, as a low-code user or as somebody that's not familiar with ServiceNow code, I can ask it to retrieve all incidents created since the beginning of last year. Now, if we review the code, before we accept it, we can review the code and ensure that's the right code for what we asked for. And it looks pretty good to me. And this is pretty cool. It found this method to go ahead and figure that out instead of creating a new script include to pull that data. So again, it's trying to streamline that approach for our users. And if you notice, the Now Assist logo is here, letting you know that it's powered by Now Assist. Now let's take another look at a developer approach. Let's look at the flow designer view. We know that sometimes flow designers can be a little tricky or difficult to use, especially for a new user. But as a manager of an incident, I realize I have an issue that not all incidents are getting created or getting assigned to within the 24 hours. So how do I fix this on my own? Well, with Now Assist, I can create a flow to address that. So I need to assign all unassign incidents in the last 24 hours. Now, I want to tell it what to do. I want to describe my actions to it. And all I'm asking is to create a flow that runs every day at midnight, then find all the new created incident records for that past day. If they're not assigned, I assign it to the incident one triage group, then send notification to the group. Not complex, it's a pretty common use case. Let's go ahead and build that with Now Assist. And as you can see, it created a flow. Triggers every day at midnight, it looks up the records, and it creates conditions based on the need. Now we're empowering more people now that are scared or fearful to use Flow Designer. We're empowering them to use it more with using Now Assist and generative AI. All right. Let's go back to our presentation. All right, we saw a couple of glimpses of what generative AI analysis can do, and it's great, but we're missing the bigger picture. What does that mean for you and the value it's going to drive? It's not a clear picture, and I understand. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that value can be driven for you. Here's a timeline of an incident, starting with the employee trying to find a knowledge article. Here's an employee trying to find a knowledge article to help self-service the issue. Unfortunately, no knowledge article exists. So the employee's natural steps to go to virtual agent. After a few attempts, the employee decides now it's time to speak to a live agent. The first thing the agent needs to do is triage the conversation so that no information is missed and then no answer or no question is answered again. Understanding the issue, the agent then tries to see if a knowledge article exists. Unfortunately, no knowledge article exists. Fortunately for the agent, Agent Assist finds similar incidents. However, the resolution notes on the incident hasn't been properly populated by the previous agent. Not knowing what to do next, the agent has no choice but to escalate the incident to a tier 2 agent. The cycle repeats again. The tier 2 needs to understand what's going on in a ticket, understand the actions taken up to this point in order to know what the next steps to be taken are. After resolving the incident, the agent is asked to populate meaningful information to the resolution notes. Unfortunately, the agent doesn't have time for it. The same can be said about creating a knowledge article. The only thing the agent has time for is to report a knowledge gap. Now, let's take a look at that same process powered by the Now Assist. The first thing we notice is the chat summarization creates a summary of the conversation between the employee and the virtual agent, saving valuable time to the agent when it has to triage a ticket. The same can be applied when the incidents hand over to the tier 2 agent, where the instant summarization provides a quick and concise summary of the activity stream, saving the tier 2 agent, again, valuable time. Resolution notes are not automatically created, providing for best practice, and it'll help the next agent that runs into a similar incident. Same for creating a knowledge article that helps the agent adhere to best practices, and it helps the next agent, again, find a quicker solution. Moreover, and this is the key part, the knowledge article will now help the employee self-service the issue, preventing the creation of that incident. And last but not least, the knowledge article will also be shown in the AI search result and the AI search summary that will provide a better experience when engaging a virtual agent. If we look at the KPIs that now still self-improve, right? We're driving that value. The first one is the employee side. Where it not only proves better information to drive self-service, it also provides that better user experience. Both the chat and instant summarization helps reduce that mean time to resolution, while the creation of resolution notes and knowledge articles save times for the agent and help supports best practice. While at the same time, the improved knowledge base and resolution notes help reduce the mean time to resolution, increase that first time fix for incidents, and allows for fewer escalations. And this is how Now Assist for a single process both improves the user experience and the agent efficiency. But this doesn't apply just to ITSM or an incident. This is true across the board for all our workflows. And here's some example values that can be driven. Okay, I know it's a lot, so I'll take a pause real quick here, see if any questions out there, any answers or something that came up.
There's a question that says, out of curiosity, is this Assist AI technology a default feature in ServiceNow?
So I guess, so we can go back up. So the Now Assist isn't a default feature yet. You do have the right to select what skills, we call them, shows up and doesn't show up. So if the Now Assist panel, that little assist panel, the sidekick, if you don't want it to show up, you can definitely have control about what shows up and what shows up. Same thing with the summarization. You can determine who can view it and where to show it. So you do have some control on how to manage those things on platform. I hope that answered the question. Any more questions?
Not seeing any more.
Awesome. Now let's talk about what powers generative AI and Now Assist. Earlier, I mentioned the AI controller or generative AI controller that we're putting in a platform. Because of that strategy, we're allowing for a flexible, more interoperable approach when it comes to powering the generative AI in the system on the platform. And if you're familiar with large language models, we're going with a two-prong approach. One, general purpose, which this is the third-party systems that you can either buy license for or bring with you. And currently today in the Fed space, we have it set up for Microsoft Azure. Now, the general purpose are trained in about 80% of the internet. They're really good at that natural interaction, that chat interaction, as well as creating content. I think my friends create their papers on that, right? And some blog posts. So it's really good at that. We also are introducing, or ServiceNow actually invested a lot of money into our domain-specific LLM. And we call that the Now LLM. And what we did with that is we know ServiceNow better than ServiceNow. So we took all those 20 plus years of best practices, coding, process power, data, and we built our own domain-specific LLM catered to ServiceNow. And a good example of why we went down this path, there's two good examples. The first one I'm going to go over is the coding aspect. I showed you the text to code earlier, a demo of that. And we actually took that same question, not that one, but another coding question, and we presented it to the general purpose OpenAI model. And it gave us a result, and it was a really good result. Like the code is really structured, it's really commented out. However, to the untrained eye, there was a couple of methods in there that looked like they belonged to ServiceNow, but they didn't exist in ServiceNow. So you can see where that can be leading, that snowball effect down the road. We took that same code and we put it in a domain-specific LLM, and it produced, again, really optimal code, really structured code, really nice code. But more importantly, we asked one of our developers to write the code itself. And that's like our base method. And we realized that our domain-specific LLM not only wrote the code, it wrote the optimal code. If you're familiar with ServiceNow, you've been here a while, we know that we're constantly updating methods and providing you new ways to query our database and code. And sometimes we leave some of that old stuff behind because people are still using it, our clients are still using it. But with this code, it went for the optimal route right off the bat. So again, it shows you the power of what it can do. In addition to just knowing what we know, one of the biggest things that came out when generative AI talk first started was security. Of course, security has always been our top priority. And with the Now LLM, we decided to go down that path is because of that security. Because we own our own LLM, we maintain it, we care for it, it also resides in our data center. Because of that, it has to oblige to the same security standards and policies we have in place today. And we don't expose it to third-party vendors or third-party systems. Nobody can access it except for the ServiceNow instance. We also give you the option to opt out training the instance with your data. And because we're talking in the Fed space, the GCC's LLM or Now LLM will never interact with the commercial Now LLM. It could be completely separate. Again, it is still applied by the same security policy and constraints that are today. However, the general purpose LLMs, we can't guarantee any security after it leaves our boundaries. So while the data that resides in ServiceNow is there and we don't leak it out, you have the choice to actually submit that data to their LLM And once that's transmitted, we have no clue, we have no insight on what happens to the LLM. I get a lot of questions in this aspect. So are there any questions on this so far? No.
Can the AI model be trained specifically for the organization? Do we, as the end users, have the ability to refine that level of training without a ServiceNow technician or assistance if we have that level of knowledge?
Not today. It is something that we're looking at, and I've seen some things at some of the meetings we have, but not today. Everybody wants to talk about the roadmap, especially in the Fed space. The second question I get the most outside of security is, when is it coming to the GCC? So happy to announce it's coming in June of this year, the summer of this year. We will also be supporting the Now LLM in GCC. The National Security Cloud, or the NSC Cloud, currently the demand's under review, and we don't really have a date yet. Once we decide on a date or if it's going to happen, we'll obviously let everybody know, but it is under review. And last but not least, the self-hosted on-prem solution. Self-hosted on-prem is near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of time in that space. So currently today, or as we speak, there is a pilot program going on. We call it the go-to-market phase. We are taking that feedback and enhancement, and we're making changes, and they will be a limited rollout in either Q2 or Q3 now of this year. Now I'm going to say a couple things on that. The Now LLM, there is some certain criteria you have to meet before you can get your hands on it. There is things behind it. So if you're interested, again, I would suggest you reach out to your account reps. They can help you see if you meet these criterias and get you along the way. One more thing I want to talk about the Now for self-hosted on-prem Now LLM solution is it requires an investment on your behalf for the infrastructure of the housing. Because the Now LLM is massive, it requires a lot of processing power. We can't just stick it on an instant, right? We have to give it its own infrastructure. So just keep that in mind. If you decide to go this path, those are some of the issues and requirements that come along with this solution. Again, if you're interested, please reach out to your account reps. They have a team that supports them, and they'll get you on the path to using one of these solutions. All right. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the roadmap for the Now Assist. Now, we went ahead and showcased you some of the stuff that's coming out. I demoed the multi-turn conversation. You saw me order an iPhone. The knowledge creation, it's really great. I think I recently talked to a customer, a big energy company, and he was telling me he had like 3-something knowledge articles that are in backlog. And when he saw that, he was excited because now instead of putting it in a backlog, the agents can create it and the knowledge team can go ahead and take over. So he's really excited. I think it's a really powerful move. The flow automation, again, I just showed you how we can take text and create flows. All that is coming within the next month or so. Another thing I want to talk about is that we are doing 4 releases a year. We're trying to release them to the store app to get these products to you quicker, and you can get them down to your production instances faster. We do have certain things that are coming out within our general releases, the 2 releases a year, but we're also doing store releases. Now let's talk about what's going on. The video we showed you earlier in the beginning touched on some of these, so you kind of have an idea of what these mean. But again, Q3, around the Washington Xanadu timeframe, a little bit after Washington, we're looking at introducing that seamless ServiceNow experience, a self-service experience with the chat and the search capabilities. Reply generation, it was on the video, but I forgot to call it out. But what this does is generative AI can create responses to either chat or email, which is pretty nifty. I saw a demo of it. It was in a demo, forgive me, but it creates those email templates for you or email responses for you. And then finally, in the creative side, we're allowing you to bring your own LLM. This is the third ask I get when I talk to clients is, can I bring my own LLM? We are going to start introducing that with the controller around Q3. And then lastly, for the end of the year, rounding out the end of the year, we're looking at introducing the personalization conversation piece. I mentioned that earlier in the video where the Now Assist knows what assets you have and capabilities. We're also going to allow it to know where you're at location-wise. So if you ask it something that's only catered to North America, it's going to know that. Same with Europe. Proactive help. We saw an introduction there where it's asked the generative AI for the Now Assist for help, had any suggestions. That's also going to be introduced in around Q4. excuse me. And then finally, the global assist. That Now Assist panel, we're going to introduce it across the platform as well, not just the agent view. We're going to introduce that to everybody to use. All right, I think my time has come to an end, so I will open it up for questions and answers if anything's out there. If nothing else, thank you again for letting me come in and spend time with you. Talking about generative AI and Now Assist, I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys gain some knowledge out of this, and thank you again for letting me come and talk to you. If you're interested in information, obviously reach out to your account reps. We're getting up to speed with documentation and getting the community out there. So when it's there, I'll obviously send the link. And if you need any more help, any more assistance, and you want me to come in and talk to any clients, I can't promise it, but I will try to make my best effort to speak to the Fed space. So if you're interested, let your account rep know, and I'm more than happy to come in and talk to some of you guys.
Thank you, team. I'd like to thank all of our participants as well as our speaker for being with us today. We hope the information you received during this webinar has been helpful. If you have any further questions or would like to request more information, please feel free to reach out. Thank you again and have a great day.